I'm 17, I make 100 grand a month. I've had a goal since I was a little kid to save up 6 figures by the time I was 18, and I've finally been able to accomplish that.
I'm 14. I'm an investor, an author, and a motivational speaker. I make $100,000 a month.
My name is Isabella Barrett. Hello. At the age of 6 years old, I became named one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the US. Now I'm 15 and I have 3 companies.
Yes, hectic, bro. Ever since I was a wee lad, I always felt this pressure. Ever since Miss Van der Kolk asked us that painful question, what do you want to be when you grow up? A seemingly innocent question we all asked as a kid in the most casual format of a simple Allo project. Most of us said things like singer, dancer, president. Then there was like the brown nose who said teacher, and basically stuff we most probably never ended up taking seriously. That was until the next time we did that same project a few years down the line, and we had people saying stuff like, well, I'm gonna finish my degree in health sciences and specialize in neurology, and then I'll probably settle down and have 2 kids, preferably a boy and a girl, and a dog named Fluffy by the time I'm 30, and we'll live in a mansion on the beach and play tennis on the weekends. Like, okay, pop off little Stalin with your consecutive 5-year plans, period. And just like that, without warning, the grind set was fixed. Once I hit play on some motivational video directed by Denzel Washington and or Morgan Freeman, because it was over for everyone at that point. I became determined that in 5 years' time, I should be the first and youngest brown female POC CEO of a billion-rand company, where I get to give out scented business cards and such, I had to settle for something reasonable, because according to Ms. Van der Kolk, apparently world domination didn't seem to fall in line with the SMART goals. Plan B. Win a spelling bee somewhere along the line. And yes, this revelation came directly after watching Aquila and the Beat. And what about it? Plan C. Develop a new type of cryptocurrency, or at least invest a few millions in Bitcoin with the disposable income I should have coming in at about this time from being the said CEO of said billionaire company, the one where I hand out scented business cards. Yeah. Future me had all the following: success, money, respect, power, influence. Basically, I was going to do all of this while getting up at 4 a.m. to meditate, afterwards rise, grind, and kiss a few babies on the way to work, and smell great 24/7. Unfortunately, life is not an Axe commercial, or at least mine isn't. Are you slowly starting to feel yourself succumbing to the intrusive thoughts of inadequacy, which often follows the immense pressure to succeed as young as possible? Have your thoughts about the future been interrupted by sudden pangs of doubt, coupled with the realization of your inevitable death? Are you finding yourself juggling questions such as, who am I? What is the meaning of life? And just why? Well, look no further. Introducing the all-new quarter-life crisis. Within 24 hours of usage, patients have reported to have undergone the following phases. Phase 1. What is the point? Listen, life sucks. I know. We gotta deal with stuff like natural disasters, infectious diseases, human trafficking, international warfare, global warming and pollution, racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, xenophobia, xyrophobia, which is the fear of holes, something you all can relate to if this is your taste in music. I'm gonna just let that one sink in for a sec. It's all just a lot. Alright, I hear you. We all put on this crusty little sphere in the middle of space against our will, and then told to go off and live our best lives. Like, babe, what even is life? What is the point of all of this? We're all gonna die anyways. The harsh truth is, there is no point to your life until you give it one. Can you smell that? Well, yes. That, my dear friend, would be the smell of an upcoming existential crisis. Existentialism is the philosophy proposing our life has no predefined purpose. We merely exist, the free will to determine our fate, personality, values, and worldview. Nothing is decided for us. There are no rules. In the words of French writer and philosopher, and the coiner of the philosophical term, Jean-Paul Sartre claimed in a lecture given in 1946 that man first of all exists, encounters himself, surges up in the world, and defines himself afterwards. If man, as an existentialist, the existentialist sees himself as not definable, it is to begin with, he is nothing. Yes. Now, before you start having an existential crisis about existing, how about we take a moment to appreciate the fact that you're merely existing right now? Let's run it back to even before you were born. I'm talking about even before your parents decided to mom and get it on. Thanks to a study done by Dr. Benazir in 2011, we managed to formulate the likelihood of your very existence.
Step 1.
The story of how I met your mother. Say your rentals met one new person of the opposite sex every day from age 15 to about 40. That would be about 10,000 people. And if we restrict the number of people that they could meet to about 1/10 of the world's population, say they got around, that would be 1/10 of 4 billion at the time. Or in other words, 400 million. Half of those people, or at least 200 million, would be of the opposite sex. Therefore, the probability of your parents even meeting ever is 10,000 out of 200 million, or 1 in 20,000.
Step 2.
The Marvin Gaying. The chance of your old man even talking to your mumsy after their encounter is 1 in 10. And then the chance that your mom didn't immediately get the ick and ghost him after them seeing each other, and them seeing each other again, is about 1 in 10. So, if by then your mom was still putting up with this oak, the chances of that turning into a long-term relationship is also 1 in 10. The chance of that lasting long enough to result in offspring is about 1 in 2. And so the probability of your parents transmitting resulting in kids at all is about 1 in 2,000. Step 3.
How you like your eggs? Try to fertilize, try to fertilize, try to fertilize.
As you may know, you're the result of one particular egg fusing with one particular sperm. And if you don't know that, then why are you watching this video and where are your parents? Each sperm and each egg is already genetically unique thanks to meiosis. And a fertile woman produces about 100,000 viable eggs, and a man will produce about 12 trillion sperm over the course of his reproductive timeline. 1/3, or about 4 trillion of which were created before your mom hits menopause. So the probability of that one sperm with half your name on it hitting that one egg with the other half of your name on it is about 1 in 400 quadrillion. Step 4. You, my dear, are a representation of an unbroken lineage going back about 150 generations, for which the probability of each one of your ancestors Marvin Gaying and getting it on and then producing offspring successfully is about 1 in 10. Multiply step 1s to 4, you got the probability of you being born. In essence, what I'm trying to say here is that the chances of you even existing right now are more rare than you even being unalived. Now go forth, live your best life. In the words of Albert Camus. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you're looking for the meaning of life. Phase 2. When you think of your identity, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it your name, surname, race, ethnicity, nationality, sex, gender? Is it the job you have, your career, or is it political affiliations? How do you tend to identify yourself? and which one is you? The reality is there's no one thing that fully identifies us. There are many things that identify us, and many ways we can identify ourselves, yet we often feel pressured to associate that identity with one particular thing, which often at times is our occupation, in other words, what we do for a living. When we're growing up, we often ask, what's the one thing you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be an actor, or do you want to be a musician? What do you want to be? But pick one thing. I mean, when you go off to uni, the question's often, what are you studying? What's your career field? Where do you want to go? What's the one direction that you want your life to go in that eventually becomes the way you introduce yourself following your name? But that's not life. Life doesn't have to be about discovering what your one true identity is. The beauty of how we've evolved as a society to view one another in relation to the world is that we can now be whoever we want to be, and that our lives and identities, who we are, be as broad or narrow as we want it to be. However, it's of course important to bear in mind that the systematic oppression often attached to these labels that make up our identity, whether we choose them or not. Things like race, class, gender, sexual orientation can be markers which relate to different levels of power, often used in an attempt to oppress us. Yet I want to remind you that the solution is not found in denying these aspects of our identity, but instead embracing them in defiance, to turn the weapons once used against us that sounds like a Bible scripture, I'm sorry, into the tools we use to dissemble systems of discrimination. Embracing aspects of our identity as a diverse society and celebrating our differences once used to suppress us doesn't mean embracing our victimhood. Rather, it's an act of rebellion by reclaiming society's constructs such as gender, culture, race, etc. Doing this while remembering we're a mind with a body and not a body with a mind. In that way, we find ourselves given the autonomy to create ourselves how we see fit.
Warning. Quarter life crisis not for persons under the age of 18. Side effects may include coughing, throwing up, bleaching and or buzzing your hair, developing an addiction, listening to obscene amounts of underground artists and acquiring a taste for food-flavored air. If you would please divert your attention to Agency, who will be demonstrating an electro-biomechanical neurotransmitting device we call the Neuralizer. Everyone, please look right here if you will.
And like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you very much. Bye.